My name is Aisha Pella and I'm here with Chris Beale, Chair of Reading Climate Change Partnership. And today we're going to be talking about climate change in children. So I'm actually talking to Chris, and not just as Chair of Reading Climate Change Partnership, but a recent father. And obviously, in light of the growing concerns about the implications of climate change, having children, rising concerns of air quality, growing skin allergies, growing allergies in general, how do you feel as a new father, and how do you think about these things?
It's obviously something that's very close to my heart. My son is just over a year old now, and spookily enough, I've been chair of the Climate Change Partnership for just over a year. So, the two things have come at the same time for me, and it's one of those. I mean, I've been looking at climate change data, looking at what it means, trying to get it in my head. What does climate change mean over the last 20 odd years, and then suddenly it's really very, very personal and very important, because those graphs that I see with the temperatures rising like this, I'm looking not just my life, but I'm looking at my son's life and thinking, I need him to have a good future. This is no longer just about me and just, I can just check out, and I don't want to be the last generation standing, because suddenly I need it to be a world that is going to be safe for my son, and not just safe, and not the world, Reading, the town. I want it to be a place where he wants to grow up, where he's happy, and where he can settle down, have a family, have a job, have a life, pick up the guitar, do everything that, and just have a real future, and be looking out for his own children. So it's huge, and it's we know in this town we've declared a climate emergency, which is fantastic, but that climate emergency, that ask on the town to cut our carbon emissions down to zero by 2030. Zero carbon 2030, that's 10 years. But if we do that, it will be so much easier for us to actually adapt this town and make this town into that safe and much easier town to live in than if we don't cut our carbon emissions, because the kind of heat waves, the kind of floods, the kind of the other things that we're worried about will be so much harder. You mentioned air pollution. Links with air pollution, asthma, and just generally not being very good.
General bad health.
General bad health. I mean, already it's a problem, and we've got rising numbers of cars, which in itself is difficult, because getting around town, if anybody sneezes, it hits a traffic jam. But that pollution that's coming out of the tailpipes of those cars is already a problem. If you plug that in with some of the heat waves we're expecting to see, it could be, it's not many dots to join to realise that that's lethal, and we can't have that. So that's got to change. So actually it's an interesting one, because there is a vision here. There is a vision of a town that is actually, it's a nice place to live. I see a town where there are fewer cars, not none, they all need to be electric. That way you don't have that air pollution problem. We've moved away from burning fossil fuels in our houses as well, so we need to generate renewable energy to heat our homes and to and use all the gadgets that we use. But this more sophisticated, low energy lifestyle we live in is going to be much nicer. There needs to be, because we're going to have more heat and everything like that, there needs to be more trees and everything like that in the town to give us opportunities for shade. I like trees. I mean, that's more towards an urban forest. I mean, there are towns with lots of trees where it's just it's a nicer place to be. I'm very conscious of the fact we lock in with the vision of Reading 2050 as well. I mean, Reading 2050 picture that. Reading 2050 needs to be a town where basically we've had 20 years of zero carbon, because if we're hitting zero carbon by 2030, that means 20 years of that. What an amazing space. It's not just bleak, the future. No. If we grasp the vision, we can have not just a town but a country. We need to look out obviously as well, that's really actually a nice, safe, solid place to live.
So I feel like the answer is to get some skin in the game, actually take some sort of ownership of your town, and instead of absconding the planet and saying, I'm the last of my people, that's it, we're not doing this anymore. Yeah. We actually take a bit more action and we try and do our part, as we talked about in previous conversations, to be part of facing the climate change challenge. Yeah,
and I've just remembered something I was going to mention as well. I mean, it is a very interesting time. I mean, the fact that the town's declared a climate emergency, I mean, the country, by all accounts, has declared a climate emergency in Westminster over the last few months as well. There are, I think, coming up for 80 towns and cities in the country that have declared a climate emergency. We're not alone in this country doing it. It's a global thing. It's linked in with some of the campaigning groups like Extinction Rebellion, which have been campaigning hard to get it up the agenda. And of course, the school strikes have been happening as well. And those school strikes, Greta Thunberg, yes, I was mispronounced her name. Apologies, Greta. What she said when she started those school strikes was essentially, what's the point of me going to school if there is no future? Yeah. If we don't tackle climate change, if we don't bring our emissions down, she's got a very, very good point. Yeah. If I see some of those graphs and some of the, what temperatures do if we don't bring our emissions down as a global society, we're going to find it really, really hard to make sure that that we keep everybody together and stop people, getting sick and potentially, worse than that as well. Yeah. So there's everything to play for in getting this right, and I need a future. I need a future for my son, more than me now. But me.
Yeah, we want a beautiful, amazing town, and we want to keep Reading lovely and make it better and better. Yeah. I think there's some element of bleakness in this, but there's also something really hopeful. Remembering we have to do something. It is an emergency. Climate change is something that we have to take action today for tomorrow. But there's hope in it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's
beautiful Reading because you're fighting for it today. Yeah. And I guess the action on us is the call we want to make today is actually getting everyone to start playing their part.
Yes.
And really engage with readingcan.org.uk.
Yes.
I can tell myself. And really being part of that journey and bringing that carbon 2030, carbon zero, and our vision for Reading 2050.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you, Chris. So fantastic to have you, and really looking forward to seeing you guys engaging and sharing this. Do email Chris, he has a fantastic website which will be linked below, and also go on readingcan.org.uk. Please be part of this revolution. We can't do it without you. The future of our town, but also the country, is relying on what we do today. Thank you very much. See ya.
Thank you, Aya.